Ian, I kept it to the short one. I didn't want to do a 3-minute intro.
I love it. Thank you.
Awesome.
I appreciate that. Get started,
Awesome.
right out the gate.
Right at the gate. Let's just go. We're so excited. All right. So welcome back to Real Migos. I am your Real Migos host along with my main man, Ian Williams. Ian, welcome. Good to see you.
Good to see you as always. Excited for today.
I'm excited too.
Talk to the new guest.
I'm excited too. All right.
Excited for me.
Our guest, Summer Atkins. She's got one of the coolest.
Wait a minute.
There we go. Okay. Now we go.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. No.
Oh,
show
my
me
gosh.
guns. There you go.
That's perfect.
I totally busted out the vintage Austin.
Oh, I like that.
Man.
The burnt orange. I like that.
This is Austin look. This is Elvis Presley, but Austin version right here.
The Austin version. You're not in Austin. Where are you?
Okay. So Austin is in the hill country, right? We are in the hill country. We are just a little west and south. So probably about an hour and a half from y'all.
Your Bandera, is that where?
Y'all are close to us, yes. Bandera, Texas. Kerrville, Fredericksburg, that whole area. But we love Austin. We're there a lot for things, family things mostly. But yeah, I'm like your little next door neighbor. And all you little Austinites are moving out to Bandera lately.
What are they buying out there in Bandera?
Well, they're buying ranches and land, man. They're living the dream. No, a lot of them are just trying to get out of the city. COVID apocalypse hit, and they said to hell with this. They can remote work anywhere in the world, and so why not? Move out to a beautiful hill country where there's actually hills and views for you to see, and fresh, clean, clear water. So yeah, we get a lot of those.
When they're buying like ranches and land, like what are we talking for size, acreage and stuff?
Oh man,
Kind of deals you're seeing.
You have some people who think that freaking 5 acres is a ranch, and you got your 20 acres, and then you got your big acreage. You got we had a 700-acre ranch listed. So it just
what does a 700-acre ranch go for out in your Bandera?
In Bandera, well,
what is a 700-acre ranch? Where is that, and how much does that look like?
Okay, so you have what's called your land, and then you have your land that holds the world together, right? That land is worthless.
Okay.
But your other land, it depends on the features that are on the property. Either you got water or live creek or some views. Your property could have a big ass hill on it, and it's just all like downsloped with rocks. So it really does depend. That's like the typical shitty lawyer response, but Bandera probably. It's really in between like 12 and probably 25,000. It just depends on what you're looking for.
Oh, okay. I was like, for what? 25,000 an acre?
Yeah.
That's actually very, very
But
low.
you could find something a little cheaper. It's just not going to be developed. It's not going to have utilities on it. It's not going to have access to your electrical, no water. And that's kind of our bread and butter. We love to buy big tracts of land, cut them up, put some utilities out there, and then flip it. And it's awesome because nobody's looking for the 700-acre ranch. Nobody. What they're looking for are the 20-acre pieces. Those are the unicorns. The real unicorns, actually, let me back that up. The real unicorns of land are the 5-acre tracts. Everybody wants 5 acres, and that does not exist.
Which is why those are going for 100,000 or more an acre. Like they're just ridiculous.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And people wonder that. They're like, why can I go buy, 20 acres at 12,000 an acre, and then 5 acres is, $30,000 an acre? Well, there's a reason why.
What is that reason?
Well, they just don't exist. they don't exist. There's no inventory for them. And that's why we love it when we have our client investor who has a vision, and we take them, we buy them a big ranch, and we just cut it up. And we cut it up into all different kinds of sizes, either 100 acres or 50 acres or 20 acres. But the 5 acre ones, I mean, those are where it's at. And those things sell like that.
I bet. I mean,
because they just don't exist. They're not out there.
I mean, I personally would want to find 10 plus acres. That way I could, do what the best part of living in Texas is, deer season, but, and then, well, dove season, and then obviously duck season, but that's more down towards Houston. And on top of that, all the massive hogs. As you can tell, I don't hunt at all, so I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Oh, I could tell you a lot about that. No, actually, well, first of all, it's going to depend on the size of your acreage that you get in your county. So Bandera County is 20 acres. There's a lot of counties that are just 10 acres for hunting. And then you got to look at what is the beast that you're trying to hunt. Because if it's whitetail, we have seasons for that, and you have licenses for that and all that. However, if you just like to go get a gun and just shoot shit up, the hill country is great for that, because we have all kinds of exotic animals that are wild and free ranging, and they're not native. And so there's very little rules for trapping them and killing them, like axis, black buck. You have to have a license, and you have to make sure that you're on a piece of property that is large enough in that county where it's legal. However, when it comes to hogs, you don't need a license to shoot a hog. You can just go shoot hogs, because they're everywhere, and they're so destructive to the land that they're pretty much a free for all. So hunters really, really love it out there in the hill country.
All of my friends' deer leases are out that direction. Their Junction is a spot that we hunt a lot. But I have a friend who has a lot of land on the east side, and that's where we go take care of those pesky hogs. Yeah,
Junction is awesome. It's beautiful, and it's cheap. You can get a pretty good deer lease out there, pretty cheap. In fact, West Texas, the closer you get to West Texas, the cheaper your hunting lease is going to be. One of the cheapest areas in the country to hunt is out there. So I think it's like in the top 5, the cheapest.
What would be a fair price for a deer lease? If somebody's like, look, I don't really want to spend $15,000 an acre to buy my 20 acre tract to go hunt on. What do you think, if somebody wants to get on a deer lease, what have you seen? Or maybe you don't know the answer to that, but what's about average for a deer lease?
Well, it's going to depend on how far out you are from a major city. The further out that you go, the least expensive it's going to be, right? So I would say out in West Texas, it's about, I think I wanted to say the average is $669 per acre. But it's also going to depend on how much acreage you're getting, whether it's high fenced or not, how it's managed. So I'll just tell you, my mother has a hunting ranch that she owns. It's been passed down in the family for generations. She got about 2,600 acres out in Uvalde.
Good spot.
And they go for about $50,000 a year for hunting. Yeah.
And it sucks those years that they have like limits.
There's limits.
So,
yeah. Bag limits are a big deal. Yeah, for sure.
Well, you have your tag limits, but there's some, I was on a lease that had, like, you could only shoot at the time, like the doe population was really low. So you could only shoot like one doe. And so it's like, man, you're paying that much money and you only can hit one doe a year on that land. Like, it doesn't make sense, but.
That's why it's a lot more cost effective in some situations for you to just go and buy your own property, and and you can do with it whatever you want.
I got a buddy that bought 200 acres out by Brady, which is just north where you
We
are,
have
right?
a lot of land for sale up in
Yeah.
Menard, which is
And
very close to there.
he's big into hunting hogs and everything, and he actually rents out his land and put a little cabin on there and all that. So works out pretty well. He likes that. He likes being
Yeah,
able
he's
to.
living a dream, and he's not having to, because the thing is with these hunting leases, you have rules that the property managers put in place, and so there's a lot of restrictions, and it's a lot more fun when you're the one making up your own rules.
Yeah.
You know?
See, I want land for different reasons. I want land. I have you guys ever heard of Hip Camp? No, I know you haven't.
Mm-mm.
You haven't heard of
No.
Hip Camp, have you? It's like Airbnb for people that like to go camping and fishing and all that sort of stuff.
That's a
It's
great
awesome.
idea.
Yeah, so Swimply is out there. You have the RV one. So I've got the little RV, and we love going camping. I'm going camping this weekend, actually, out I'm actually tent camping, but that kind of stuff, right with a lake. It's away from people's property. You have a place to go and kind of get away and relax. That's fun. That's fun to me.
That's a dream right there, man. And then especially now, you can just like set up your little campfire at night and just relax. Drink you a cold Coors Light.
That was not a Coors Light can. I saw that.
Light, man, brother.
I love
That's my
on
Red
your,
Bulls.
I love on your Instagram when you're like, just gonna crack me open a cold Red Bull.
Cold Coors.
Oh, man.
I don't know if you saw my reel on that with Justin Vollmer. It's hilarious.
I saw that. I saw he was doing something where he was like trying to get he got like a bunch of agents to say something, but he's that's a fun one. So let's talk about the land thing. So let's say somebody calls you and they're like, Sommer, I'd love to buy me 100 acres out near Bandera, Kerrville, Fredericksburg. Just give me some hill country. What are some of the main things if somebody's buying land that they absolutely have to know before they even pull out the checkbook?
Well, okay. There's a lot of things, man. I would say location. Proximity to an airport is a big one. And I can't tell you how many times we have gotten something under contract and they've backed out because, well, my wife, she decided it wasn't close enough to the airport. It's like, you knew where it was on a map, but okay. So location, I wouldn't say this is a concern in hill country because we don't have production, but you need to know whether your tract of land is under production or not.
By production, what do you mean?
Oil and gas, man. Oil and gas. Oh man, I can't tell you how many times the deal's been messed up because of that. Because sellers want to keep their minerals for good reason, because it's income for the rest of their life, their progeny's lives, and then buyers want the minerals because they want to be able to control what's happening on their land, right? So minerals is a big concern, but not so much in the hill country. I would say more South Texas, Eagle Ford, West Texas, Permian. Whether or not the tract is developed. We had somebody back out because of a gate. They wanted a new gate, and the seller said no. So they said, okay, to hell with it then. So you gotta figure out exactly what it is that you want on that piece of land, what kind of improvements you want, access to electricity, water.
I was going
Water is
through
a big deal. Water is actually a big deal too. Whether you can have your own well, whether you got to be on a city, because there's all kinds of restrictions for water in the hill country. It's crazy right now.
I had I was doing 26 acres this time last year that I was letting go, and I was selling for a client, and we had telephone poles were in the wrong spot. We had all the caliche was being shared amongst the 6 houses that were on the in that little plat area, and so they didn't want to have to deal with that. And then there was, I think John SB was talking about the ag exemption, Well, you have people that are like
Ag exemption.
opening up their gates so that, you know, the cattle can roam throughout. And then that's now ag exemption for everybody, and it's just easier.
Yeah,
So,
that's not how it works. But
that's not how it should work. but people are pulling it off. So
oh yeah, that people do all
even
kinds
with
of
5 acres, like you don't have to have the 10 to make that work. But you're right, that's not how it should work. For the record, that's not how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah.
What's the way you're supposed to do it?
There's like a huge process for it. So that's another advantage. If your tract of land is already under ag, that's just one less headache you have to go through because you have to prove it up and stuff. Wildlife exemption is really cool in Texas. That one's the ultimate. They practically pay you to own land.
Well, you said that a couple
Wildlife
things,
exemption.
and I do want to go into that. I want to go into the practically pay you, and then also the oil and gas exemption for the mineral rights. I think those are both really good subjects to touch on for people.
Yeah, the wildlife. What's cool about that is you have people that are putting up like boxes for owls and stuff for like endangered species. It's just like it's a good win for everybody, But your taxes on that are way less, even more so than on an ag exemption.
For just putting an owl box out on so how does somebody do that? They just like send the tax district pictures of their 10 owl boxes.
Oh yeah, there's a whole process to it.
So what's the process look like though? That's I think what the question is.
So you have to make an application for it, and you have to prove it up. You have to make sure that it's all in place. I think there's a time limit. I can't tell you exactly how long it is. There's like time limit that you have to have it on there. I think bees is a thing too now.
Bees for ag for sure, but that's for wildlife. That'd be really interesting. And I thought with bees you had to be not really be a keeper, but you had to have a lot of different stations. I thought that was the part of it, or even sell some stuff, like make some mead, make some honey, make something. Didn't you have to do that, produce something?
I think there is. I don't know the exact rules for that, but there's a huge process for that. But it's something that somebody can look into, to just make it even better for them to buy a piece of land. Some of the biggest culprits for doing this are these huge refineries, like out in West Texas, or even in Houston. Sometimes if you drive out in the rural parts of Houston, you'll see cows on a refinery land. And that's because they're getting a little ag exemption out there for it.
Oh yeah, you see cattle.
Crazy.
Who was the calculator company? They did the calculators. What was it?
Texas Instruments.
Yeah, Texas Instruments. Yeah, so that one right on I-35 north
in Austin.
I think it's north of Austin in Round Rock. They have you see their Longhorns out there. That's just for an ag exemption. What are they? They're chip manufacturers. They're calculators, for crying out loud.
Well, it's funny. If you drive down 35, there's like a car dealership. And on the land, there's all these like big Longhorns, huge like Longhorns out there. And there's also like some statues of fake ones, which is kind of funny. So I don't know like why you put fake like metal Longhorns out there, but it's kind of funny. But yeah, I mean, I have clients right now that are looking at, they have $3 million. They just sold a property. So they're 1031 exchanging $3 million. And we're looking at land that's just vacant land, that'll be good land, that just will hold its value, and we can put cows on it. That's it.
That's the way a lot of people do it. And
but then you gotta have somebody come and manage the cows. That's the whole thing in itself.
Yeah, you do. There's work involved. It's not as easy as I make it sound. Truly.
No. And the application.
If you want to pay less taxes.
And if you don't already have it, the application process, you have to apply and then apply and then apply. And you'll probably get it rejected a few times before you end up getting accepted.
It's difficult. Yeah.
It is
difficult. It's not
for anybody who out there thinking it's easy, might not be.
We have restrictions too, which is why 21 acres is the sweet spot in the hill country because or at least in Bandera, because you have to have 20 acres to qualify for an ag exemption. Plus, 1 acre for your homestead, because your homestead doesn't count in that 20
Oh,
acres.
genius. That's
Yeah, so it's
really important.
21 acres. And
Yep.
usually so
That's
that's
really
a sweet
important.
spot for that. Or and then you have your other counties that are just require 10, and it just depends on county by county for the ag exempt.
So where you are, do they have any kind of restrictions like mobile homes or tiny homes or anything like that? Not that I want to get too far into that, but you know, some places, especially around here, they'll say you have to build a house that's 1,500 square feet on a slab foundation. That's it. Anything else, you know, run it by us.
Well, it's just going to depend on where you're buying, you know. Anybody, any seller in the world in Texas can put deed restrictions on a piece of property that they're selling. And a lot of them do that in the hill country, remarkably so. I personally don't understand it because I'm like, man, give it up to the next person and let them decide what they want to do with it, right? But there's other people that, you know, they're putting aside a subdivision and they want to have these rules in place. That makes sense, you know, so no trailer homes, no mobile homes, houses of a certain square footage, built of this material. It's honestly not that common in the whole country to have these deed restrictions outside of a subdivision. Now, in subdivisions, yes, they're all over the place. But in just regular land, it's not too common. But we come across it. We do. We come across them. And the scary part is sometimes they're in a title commitment and sometimes they're not. And so a lot of times buyers will figure this out after they've bought the property, and then they're like, what the hell? So it's always a good idea as a realtor to make sure that you get a copy of those, you know, even if you got to go down to a courthouse and look it up. There's a way to look it up. It's always of record, and just make sure that your bases are covered so your buyer knows what they're getting into. Because you can put a restriction on anything that's not that does not go into special equal opportunity rules and stuff like that. So you can say, yeah, I don't want any homes built out of wood in this neighborhood, and people have to abide by it. But I tell you what, people break these rules all the time, and the only way that they, you know, that you can actually control this is if you sue them, and it's difficult to do that. That's a whole nother process.
I had a client, we sold 15 acres in San Marcos, and one of the deed restrictions is you couldn't have a hog farm on the land.
Oh yeah, or like chickens.
Yeah, well, I don't know why hogs were so in particular, but like the one like major thing out of all these deed restrictions, which weren't very serious, like the major one was like no hogs. It's like, what? Like, did somebody want to put it? Somebody at one time wanted to put a hog farm out there, probably, and when they sold the land, they put in a deed restriction so Al down the street couldn't buy it and put it in a freaking hog farm or some bullshit like that. So kind of funny, like how
that's a big deal. Actually,
hogs multiply pretty rapidly, right?
Yeah,
that's one of the like landmark cases that you learn in law school. Was this case about a homeowner who had hogs. It's still like a torts case on nuisance. I can't remember the outcome of it, so don't ask me. But I do remember it was about hogs. So that is a thing.
Yeah, I think to your point, you were talking about why people wouldn't, like why they would put these restrictions on land. I'll give an example. I had somebody buying land, and they basically just subdivided some of their parcels, and then they ended up letting someone else build out on that land, but they only wanted, how would you say this? They only wanted people that they wanted on that land.
Yeah.
And so because now they're choosing their neighbor.
That's okay. And that actually is a great example of why deed restriction, those things work. That's one of the positives to a deed restriction. If you're planning on staying nearby, you know, and you want you to know what your neighbors are doing. That's probably the most common reason why people do it.
That was
the ones that I don't understand are the ones that leave Dodge and they go move to Canada or somewhere. It's like,
Well, so I've had that situation too, where these people had this land and they wanted to leave, but they didn't want it to go to like a big developer or someone who was just going to put an apartment complex in the middle of everything. They want because they still have friends in those areas.
Yeah.
So they wanted to make sure that they kept it, similar. It didn't develop too fast for their friends, even if they were leaving.
It's so funny to me. Like, I'm sure you guys have come across this before, of like the seller who is still trying to control what happens to the property after they've sold it. Y'all have that situation?
Yeah.
Like where they're like,
yeah.
they can't ever tear this house down.
Yeah.
This is a special house. You can't ever tear this house down. Well, I mean, then don't sell it,
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't need the money or want the money or need it, then why the hell are you selling it?
Why
Obviously,
the hell do
need the
you care
money.
what happens to it after you don't own it anymore?
Yeah.
Sometimes we have
They did that with the Kalahari here. Did you see that? The Kalahari, when they built that, Jeremy, that old house that was on the land, they just moved it. But it's still there. Like, it's still part of that. That's now the welcome center for was the welcome center for the Kalahari. It's genius. But I wonder if that was a stipulation. They were like, yeah, you can't tear this down. I don't know if the city said that or the people said that.
It's probably
you can look that up, man. Where was it at in Travis County?
This one was Williamson County.
Yeah.
You could just go. If they're online, you can go in and look it up. Or you can pay me $500 an hour, and I'll find out for you.
Speaking of, I was gonna say, I don't know if you mentioned that earlier, Jeremy, but
yeah, we didn't bring this up. So not only is Summer amazing at buying land, but she's also an oil and gas attorney. So if you ever have an issue with oil and gas, she's the one to call and she'll bust your ass. Look at that. I rhymed. Boom.
Well, and I think it's important because Texas, we're not in an attorney state, right? Like for real estate. And so a lot of the title companies that we deal with have attorneys that they hire or that they work with for the real estate transaction. But you have a lot of people that don't even use title companies.
Yeah.
Right. So this is where someone like Summer is very well educated in that space, especially if you're out in hill country and they're like, what would I use a title company for?
Yeah. They're called law office closings. Law office closings. Yeah, people do it all the time. They go around title companies, especially if there's no lenders involved. Why not? And it's cheap.
Because it's spit in the shake.
It's
We're
not
still spitting. Isn't that still legal?
Say what?
Spit in the shake. Isn't that still legal in Texas? Seriously,
No,
like
not
when I was
for land.
you
would be violating the statute of frauds.
Well,
because you can't have an oral contract for land. I mean,
well, you're giving spit.
The spit's not
Here, take
that's the definition of oral.
Oh man,
that's a different oral agreement, Ian.
Yeah,
gotcha. Sorry, I was mistaken.
No, a lot of times there are tricky things that happen in real estate deals, though, and I tell you what, we refer our people out, not to me because it's conflict of interest for me to be involved in any of our deals, but we send them out to another real estate attorney, and
like Ian and Jeremy.
We're not attorneys though.
No. I know.
We're not allowed to practice law.
You can send them our way, and then we can have them close with one of our people.
Yeah.
Attorneys are the worst, though, and I can say that because I am one. They have to have a reason to justify their fees, so they will fuck up your deal. They will redline everything, and they will make simple things exceptionally complicated for no reason other than to collect a fee.
Wait, you said for no reason.
Real estate attorneys listening to me right now.
You said for no reason, but aren't they charging per hour?
Yeah, of course.
All right. Okay.
No, there's a reason. I mean, they create problems where there was no problem. Let me put it that way. But no, some real estate attorneys are super reasonable. They'll charge by the page. So if you just need a deed written up with a friend, you want to give your friend 1 acre of your land, go get a real estate attorney and draft up a deed, and there you go. Make sure you file at the courthouse.
Oh, You know what's interesting is the courthouse stuff. I see a lot of people trying to go back into buying for this is totally off topic. Just they go back, the first Tuesday of the month. They have doesn't even matter if it's a holiday. They if it's a July 4th, they will have their foreclosure auctions at the step of the county.
Yeah.
But
some of them are cool. Have you ever been to one?
Oh yeah, they're cool. They're a lot
cool.
of fun.
They'll have like tequila bars, tacos. They can be fun.
Which ones are you going to? Is those ones in Bandera?
They have one in San Antonio in Bexar County that does tequila and tacos on the courthouse.
Oh, I got to call Logan. We got to get Logan back on.
Wait, on the courthouse?
They're pretty cool. Yeah. I don't know if they still do them. I've only seen it done once, but I thought that was fun.
Yeah. In the comments below, would you go to more foreclosure auctions if they offered tequila and tacos? Would you be swayed to do anything for tequilas and tacos? We're all real estate agents here. And the one way you get real estate agents to show up to anything is offer alcohol and food.
Totally. I would do it.
Yeah. That's how you get the freshman 45 in real estate and then just keep it. So
if we did open houses, we would have tequila and tacos. It's hard to hold an open house for a ranch.
Yeah. If you had let's say you had like a $10 million property and you were doing open house, like how do you even do that for a property out in the middle, like let's say it's 100 acres for 10 million. Like, and it's, how do you even do open house like that? Or like an agent broker open?
You can do it. And we've done it before. You do your big land sale promotions that you see pumped out by these ranch realtors.
Yeah.
And you bring people in, you got your tent and you got your waters and you throw them on your Kawasaki mule and you give them a good little show of what it's like to be out, to be living the dream, with your beer. And people love that. Sometimes we do that for our big developments. We've done it many times. People love it.
Put a Yeti in the back and take them around.
Put your Yeti in and get back.
Yeah.
It's like an experience for them, like it's luxury agent on a whole other level.
Do they make Gucci boots for the ranch?
They do. I know they do.
Or do they have Hermes?
Dude, if they did, I'd have them in every single color that they make.
we're going to have to bring Kevin back on here.
That'd be
he's
amazing.
Get some of those Hermes boots.
Hermes boots.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you don't need anything we're super fancy to show a ranch. Just make sure you're not wearing your Jimmy Choos and.
Well, that brings me to a question somebody asked earlier. They said, "What kind of truck are you driving?" Because I've been out there with my motorcycle, with my SUV, with a car, and all of them were bad ideas. So.
Yeah, I doubt my 911 would be a good idea.
No.
I've seen so many people pull up in that white BMW, and I just laugh. We have our Ram pickup Longhorn, and
does it have horns on the front though? Like how Texas are you?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's got the Longhorns on.
Does it really?
Does it really? Does your truck really have?
No.
Oh my gosh, I was so excited. I'm still excited that you have.
I drive a Cadillac Escalade, man, and people think, oh, you think you're all this and that. But here's the thing. You put somebody in a nice vehicle like that and they want to live that dream. You take them out on a ranch, your Cadillac, and all of a sudden they want that.
It's like glamping. Yeah, I get it.
It's a marketing thing for me. It's more than anything. And the trucks too. People love it. People love it when you can put them in the pickup truck and roll the windows down and feel like you're a cowboy for a day. In
your Escalade.
But
not in my Escalade, but that's a whole other ranch clientele right there.
And
I mean, if they're spending $10 million, an Escalade is.
They want.
It's good.
Yeah, they want the champagne and the red carpet rollout, and I'm more than happy to provide that for them.
I did a tour in Utah.
And boots.
It was $27 million property. I think it was like on 100 acres or something like that. But whatever. Talk about no expenses like spared. We're talking. They had a musician out there. They had a full like 2 full bars catered. I mean, this little thing easily cost 10 to 15 grand to put on for this little event. But you're right. Like when I got there, I was like, man, I feel important. And I actually had a client for that property too. So I was like, wow, okay, even I feel great. Okay.
Heck yeah, man. That's the way to do it.
And that event was for realtors, right?
Yeah, it was a broker.
Like
I mean, there was potential
That's
clients there. But.
Genius. I don't think people understand that. But if you hold an event at a listing like that for realtors, guess what they're going to do? They're going to go tell all their clients and their friends, and they're going to want to show it off on social media. People are like, oh, I don't want to use a realtor to sell my ranch. It's like, well, but we have connections. That's great. It's genius.
I tell you what, though, sometimes those have backfired on us because there have been a few occasions where we've put on a big show and nobody showed up.
I was going to say, you got to share that story.
So do you guys know who Magnolia Pearl is?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah, they're big time. So they're like a triple client of ours. They had this big ranch in Bandera and they bought it from our seller, and then they sold it we represented them in the selling to our buyer. So we had triple on that. And it's kind of like 20 minutes outside of Kerrville, but it's a cool place. It's the most amazing ranch because Magnolia Pearl is like a designer. She's very eccentric. And we thought we would have tons of people out there, but nobody showed up. We had it all. We had the alcohol, everything. And so it's a risk. It's a risk that you run. So that a lot of times we don't, like with our realtors, we don't make it a requirement for them to have open houses or anything because it's just not practical out in Boones.
So if somebody's buying land, right? I want to go back to this question we asked earlier. So if somebody's buying land and they're looking in and around the Austin area, so water is really important, right? So water rights.
Water's everything.
Yep. Utilities.
Water is the next frontier. Water and solar.
Water and solar.
Yep.
Good to know.
So solar, like you're bringing Elon out and having him put panels on your house. Well, not him personally, but.
No, not that kind of solar. I'm talking about solar fields, solar farms.
Got it.
Yeah, that's the next thing.
Are people putting solar fields out in Bandera?
Yeah, actually, there's a huge dispute right now. All the residents got their panties on fire because there's this big ass solar field farm coming in, and they don't want to have anything to do with it. So
here's the thing. It's better than that much space filled with hogs, isn't it? Right?
I mean, it's just kind of the cost of progress, It's like, I'm sure somebody back in the day was upset about a utility pole going up and wires hanging out of the sky.
Unless they're Quakers, they still need power. We saw what happened when the storm came a few times.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. You need it.
And that's when you need a Ram 1500 or 2500.
Yes.
Yeah.
With longhorns on it and one of those spikes on the side and everything. You need all that.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that. Funny. I'm going to get one of those old school Cadillacs convertibles and put longhorns on it. And I'll make it blue like River Realty, and we'll put it in the parades.
Well, what you should do is get the Cybertruck and then wrap that thing.
That'd be amazing.
Well, on the back part of it, instead of putting the bed, you should just put a solar panel so you can just keep going all day.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, they're saying that they can still put that on the truck bed. We'll see how that works, but that would be a great cover.
Yeah.
Have you seen those solar highways like in Europe?
In Switzerland or Norway?
I don't know.
Norway. It's a great
over there
conceptual idea.
Yeah. That's like a glimpse to the future. I feel like that would give a title attorney a lot of work. They did some. like
If
that over
that would
there.
give them a lot of, you know who else would give a lot of work to? The government to put those in. Because, oh my gosh, imagine repairing a road that was solar panels.
I couldn't imagine the
Like,
cost
think
of
about your
that.
taxes.
It'd have to be
That's all I'm
invincible.
saying.
It'd have to be like bulletproof glass or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they have the roofs. Nobody's driving on them, but I'm sure it's not far.
Yeah.
So, Ian, if you were going to
Yep.
buy land around Austin, where would you buy land?
No, that was actually gonna be my question for her. But
Oh, okay.
I do like West. I think rock versus clay and views versus flat are important to me. And I love water, so I would want to be close to some kind of water because I feel like the use case expands exponentially when it comes to things like being able to rent it out, whether it's Airbnb, whether it's just for hunting, anything. It doesn't matter. Animals need water. People need water. It's a way to survive. And then, but the height, the hills will help with any kind of flooding. I don't want to be flat land and worried about a river overflowing. That's kind of scary to me. So I also really like, I have a lot of thoughts on this. Anyway, so my question was going to be, where do you think, Samar, where do you think the best land deals are today for people that have, let's say they have $1 million. Let's say they have $500,000 and they want to buy some land. How much and where are you thinking?
Okay. Well, do you want to stick in the hill country, or would you want to somewhere else in Texas?
If I give,
well, we don't want to go to Arizona.
Man.
We're not going to Arizona. We're talking about around here.
Yeah,
around Austin. How
well,
far
just
out?
Texas, just Texas in general. Like if somebody's like, hey, I got $1 million to put down on a chunk of land. What's the best use and where should I be doing that? What should I be looking for?
Are you looking at it for just your own recreation, your own development of a place, or are you looking at it from an investment point of view, as in this land is going to make you a lot of money in 5 years?
I think on this channel specifically, we try to make those synonymous, right? So if somebody's buying a place, it's like, hey, that's great, but is it going to be something you can sell later?
Sometimes it works out that way, and sometimes it doesn't.
Well, that's just, yeah.
I would say, like, I would honestly look towards Concan.
So where?
Towards Concan.
Where the hell is
that? Is that too far out?
I don't know, but keep going. I'll pull it up while you keep talking.
Gardner State Park type area.
Dinosaur D said a spare $1 million. That's actually why I said 500,000, because if you think about the amount of equity people have in their homes here in Austin right now, if they are willing to, like, let's say cash out refi, not that they want to do that, but they have enough equity to be able to put enough down to buy a $500,000 plot of land somewhere. So I want it to be for a regular person who's very interested in purchasing land, maybe to help them build a house in the future. So that's why I said 500,000, not $1 million.
Okay, but if you want it on water or anywhere near water, you're not going to find it. It's going to be very difficult. If you're looking for a house on it, you know what I'm saying? Then you're talking about $1 million.
No. Yeah, just let's say raw land where they can in the future build a house. Just raw land.
Well, I mean, honestly, Bandera is a good spot. Kerrville, we have a big development that's beautiful off of Turtle Creek Road. That right now we have it cut up between 50 and 100 acres. We're going to recut it up to probably 20-acre tracts. You can get a really beautiful, decent piece of property out there for less than 500,000. Close to water. You're not on the creek, but you're on the road that the creek is on, and it's year round. It's a year-round creek. So Kerrville would be a good option. You're going to want to stay away from anything really outside of Austin, close to Austin, like Durfee Springs and
especially dripping.
Fredericksburg.
I just moved to Dripping Springs.
It's going to be expensive.
So I see it says Bandera Falls. Are there actual falls out there? I know Canyon Lake's beautiful. I love it out there. But it says Bandera Falls. Do
I
they
think
have
that-
waterfalls, or is it just a name they borrowed from somewhere?
I think that's just a name on the map for a piece of the Medina River that they just call Bandera Falls. It's not, there's no waterfall there though.
Yeah,
I think it's just an old thing. Maybe once upon a time there was, but
I mean, we go to McKinney Falls, and that one, I mean, there are falls there. They don't fall very far,
Yeah.
but they're there. It's pretty, you know.
It's
It's nice, nice
rocks
hiking
half
and
the
stuff.
time. What about? I'm just searching on the map here. Lake Medina is not too far from you. Is that a decent lake to be invested?
It's also
on?
not open.
Well, that's the
It
state park.
says-
yeah. Okay.
that's important.
So we have sold lots of properties out there. Medina Lake is a leaky lake. So right now it's dry, pretty much just the Medina River.
So the real estate's on sale. Waterfront's on sale.
I mean, there's no lake. It fills up when we have a big flood or a hurricane come through and dump a bunch of water. But there's a lot of problems with it. It's a leaky lake because it's, what is it? It's that limestone formation underneath it. So it just goes
The
right through.
aquifer.
And then another problem is it's literally one of the oldest dams in Texas, but they release all the water out to the farmers down in Medina Valley, which is a whole other bucket. And so they're constantly letting the water out of that lake. So it's never at like a steady level ever. Like the lakes in East Texas are beautiful and stay the same, but not Medina Lake. And it's probably about 20 minutes from our office, and we saw quite a few things out there.
Somebody's asking about Horseshoe Bay. Horseshoe Bay. That's
I was going to say
that's
that.
kind of far from you, but
Horseshoe Bay, but it's close to Austin.
yeah,
like
Horseshoe
Marble
Bay
Falls.
is pretty sweet. I
It's beautiful.
I think they're asking. So the question is, what happened to the craze around at Horseshoe Bay? I think it just got too expensive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's the problem. It's a 2020 problem where everybody out of Austin they all scattered out to the hills and to the lakes, and prices went crazy. But prices are I wouldn't say that prices are decelerating. I feel like they're stabilizing. Prices are always going to go up per year, but they're starting to get down to like maybe January or February levels,
And
so
like the
it's
area,
getting better for the buyer out there.
that area close by it too, Marble Falls. Marble Falls is, I keep hearing about, they have like big luxury tracts that are coming out there. And then they're also putting out other tracts of land out there for people leaving Austin. I feel it's like a little late to start that they started these because the craze that we saw in 2020 ended. But would you recommend that area too, like Marble Falls?
Yeah, it's honestly outside of our market.
Yeah.
So I can't say too much about it, but 100%. Yeah. It's a hot market over there.
All right. I do you know anything about east of Austin? I know you're not east, but do you know anything about that area or have any thoughts on that area?
LaGrange.
Well, I was gonna say
Yeah.
Lockhart. Now that Micron announced they're not coming here anymore. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but do you think that that's, somebody put in my comments the other day, oh, Micron's not coming. I think that's a bunch of bull crap. I think they didn't get the incentives they wanted. So they're just going to go to another county and find another county that'll give them the incentives they want.
They said that they were going to New York, which sounds ridiculous to me.
It's like the opposite because most New Yorkers are coming here.
Yeah,
right.
But they're going to say no to that. Remember, she said no to Amazon. So, not to get political, she said no to Amazon, and they didn't come. So,
wow. Well, what kind of incentives were they looking for out there?
So the way the tax base works, I'm sure you know this. Most of the taxes for these big corporations that put in these big buildings goes to the schools, and so basically they're looking for like tax incentives where they're not sending as much money to this or they're getting incentives so they don't spend as much on the school taxes.
Yeah.
So because they're bringing in people like us or like somebody in tech to come in and pay those taxes, that's why can't say too much, but let's just say that when I may or may not have had connections at Tesla and I was telling them, oh, well, we should be looking at Kyle and everywhere. They're like, no, we have to talk a lot about Travis County and we have to promote everything in Travis County because of Del Valley, because that's where the schools gave them the taxes. So like they couldn't say like, hey, we're going to go do stuff in Hayes because Travis County and them had, some agreement on taxes.
Well, there's so much around that, because you think about with the companies that are coming here and the people that are working at these companies and what they can afford based on their salary, specifically based on their salary. We're talking a chip manufacturing facility, right? We're not talking tech dudes, which is what John SB said in here, right? So not really. There will be a percentage of that, but a lot of it's just a manufacturing facility. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like Samsung, like Silicon Labs and some other places. So I don't think that the housing and the jobs that come from around there are more beneficial in New York. I think New York thinks they might be, but the New York has now outpaced what San Francisco as the most expensive rental market. And it was already an extremely expensive buyer's market. So I think there's something else. And the incentives, $6 billion in New York is what, like 3 weeks? Like they'll spend that money in no time, where even $3 billion in Texas, plus the taxes, plus all of the opportunity of the other companies coming here and the future growth and it gets me wrong.
Well, so I was on another podcast before this one today, and the guy's from New York, and he was talking about this exact problem that they've got. And his podcast is literally like named like "Move Me Out of New York." That's just how big of a thing that it is over there.
I'm part of
to get out of New York.
I'm part of a Facebook group called Escaping Illinois. That's genius.
Yeah, I mean, although I will say it's not so much like out-of-staters that are buying up all the stuff around here. Now that the market is kind of caught up with their markets, we're not as competitive pricing for them as we used to be. It's mostly people in the big cities like Austin, San Antonio, Houston are trying to get out. So I'm constantly having to dispel the out-of-stater myth that is out-of-staters are.
Well, and what's interesting, we just had a comment from, I'm going to say Name Mame. So I think that's the name. But anyway, they said upstate New York, and yeah, it is very different than like Manhattan, obviously. So perhaps it could make some sense, especially with the price points and whatnot.
Yeah, the cost of living over there is just so crazy. For the same like 3.2, it's like $10,000 or $12,000 in property taxes, and then I think they also have.
Did you say that was crazy?
State income tax in New York.
Yeah. That's a good question or segue into this question. Do you know what your typical tax rates are, or your prices on let's say a 2,500 square foot home?
It's going to depend per county,
I know. I just want a random.
I would say about 5,000, 5,000 or 6,000, but it's really going to depend on what it's priced for.
Of course.
Every 2,500 square foot is going to be different from another one. What is it on? Is it on a lot? Is it on 20 acres?
Well, out here in Austin, a lot of the rates in Austin is about 2.2% to 2.4. A lot of the newer stuff, like these new build communities, the tax rate's like 3% on a lot of stuff.
3.1,
2.96. How did we lose her? Oh no,
I'm here.
We lost your video.
I have to plug in my phone.
Oh.
I'm here though. I'm listening.
Okay.
I'm with you in spirit.
Okay. So is there like an average like tax rate that you run into out there?
I can't remember exactly what it is, but yes. I know my husband could tell you. I can't recall. They just raised it this last year. So like our home went from, we have about a 4,500 square foot home. Let me get back on.
There you are.
About 15 years old. It went from about 8,500 to now it's about 11,000. I mean, it like just in 1 year.
It's a small jump, little.
Yeah, small jump. Yeah, it set everybody's hair on fire.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we talk about a lot on the channel is the tax rate because, like I have a property that I purchased. It was a 1.8 tax rate. And we bought it specifically because the tax rate was low. And then they tried to raise the tax value on the home 56%. It was stupid.
56%.
Yeah, it went from like 5,500
They did that
to
to us too with a
9,400.
lot of lots. Which
What was
is
that?
crazy. Where it just jumped like 80%.
It's
taxes.
crazy. And somebody, Austin, thanks for writing this comment in here. What is a mechanism for voting to change a tax rate? So I've heard that the state legislature in the next session is going to look at changing the tax system. So maybe we'll see a change there. I highly doubt it because a lot of what they're looking at changing is how we collect the taxes for the schools, because that's the largest part of the taxes. It's like, what, 60% of the taxes. And then you look at an area like Austin, and we have recapture here. Since our homes are so expensive, what they do is, so let's say 60% of your tax is the school district. So instead of sending, let's say you're 10,000, so it's $6,000 you're sending to the school every year. Instead of doing that, they take 3,000, they shoot it back to the state, and the state captures that and maybe sends it to Bandera, or maybe they send it to another school further out. So they recapture that. And so only $3,000 goes to your local schools. Well, the problem with that is now, like Austin just voted for another multi-billion-dollar bond to pay for stuff for the schools. So the Austin area sent $1 billion back to the state, and now they're trying to raise another $1 billion or something crazy like that just to pay for the taxes in our area. So we sent $1 billion, but we need $1 billion for our schools. Same thing in Dripping Springs. They're sending, like we're trying to pass a $750 million bond to pay for new schools and pay for stuff. This doesn't even touch teacher salaries. This is just school upkeep. And that $700 million that they're trying to get, we already sent back to the state.
Jeremy, listen, if you were rummaging through your couch and you found $1, you could probably find another $1, right? So what if that was $1 billion? If that was $1 billion, you could just find another $1 billion somewhere. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
honestly, we kind of like this situation because it helps our bottom line, because that's a problem with Austin. It's the cost of living is so high, including taxes, and it's a big reason why everybody's moving out to
the
our
breakfast
area.
tacos are worth it. So
the breakfast tacos, don't get me started.
I'm just messing with you.
Have
y'all do y'all get into like the breakfast tacos wars with Austin between?
It's
Austin
not a
and
war
Antonio?
if they're slaughtered.
Yeah, if we've already won the war, there's no battle. I mean, we've already won.
I don't think San Antonio's like going to back down on that.
Who cares? In a magazine the other day, or an news article, they put out Austin was #1 taco city. So San Antonio, it's facts. I mean,
San Antonio's better.
That's just because you're
actually the best tacos are south of San Antonio. It's not even San Antonio.
In Mexico? Where?
In like down south.
How far south?
Yeah.
South.
There's a place
South
out here in
Texas,
Dripping
man.
Springs that's actually really good called Mr. Chingon. I go there like almost every day now. It's so good. I'm getting
Where is it?
Yeah, I'm with John. If they speak English, then
no
no
English in this truck. I mean, very
All
little.
right.
But it's called Mr. Chingon. It's in Dripping Springs.
Oh.
Well, it's more like, I guess it's more Austin, but
I was gonna say you have like one choice out there. That's why. That's the problem.
bro, we have really good food out here in Dripping Springs. Plus, Bandera's not that far if you want to go like Bandera is actually really cool. I've been there before.
It is cool.
There's a
The
golf
Wild West.
course out there, and the golf course there's a golf course, but they have a bunch of like homes you can rent in like tiny homes and stuff you can rent. But the
Yeah.
bar out there is wild. It is everything you would imagine Texas being in this little like podunk bar on this thing. You know what golf course I'm talking about?
The
We stayed
Flying
there.
L.
Yeah. Oh my God. That is. I don't even remember if it was a good golf course. I was so drunk by the time we got there because it's a long drive.
I used to
But-
live on that golf course. It was our last
so much
house.
fun.
It was out there.
You know what little bar I'm talking about?
It was cool because yeah, they got a bar and it's like a retreat for families, and they had a big water park and everything.
Yeah.
And it's cool because part of living there, you got to use the water park and stuff. And it's a nice golf course. It's not bad. They used to get pissed off at me though, because I like to walk on the golf cart, and they would get so mad at me, and I would get yelled at for walking on the golf cart.
You're like, hey, I'm a lawyer.
Hello, I'm here.
I like this comment. He says, if they have QR codes, it ain't good.
Yeah. They don't.
That's
I don't think
really
they had QR
funny.
codes in Bandera. They never got COVID in Bandera, did they?
No, they just never. Yeah,
That was
they
never
don't
a
leave
thing.
their house though, so because they have 100 acres. So
Yeah, we were fine. We don't even know what happened.
you have 3 houses in one. Of course you were fine. It's of course, right?
No, actually, we were one of the last. I want to say last. We didn't get hit with that for a long time, past everybody. The rates
But
were going up everywhere in our little town. It hit us late, probably because we're all so scattered.
Well, that's exactly my point. Everybody's scattered, and then how often do you go to the corner store? I mean, wherever you go shop.
Yeah.
Do they have an HEB? You have an HEB?
No, I
Family
don't have
Dollar.
an HEB out there.
They have an HEB
About
out
20
there.
minutes away in either direction.
How many?
It's about 20 minutes. It's either Bernie, Kerrville, or Hondo.
If it took me 20 minutes to get an HEB, I don't know what I'd do with myself. I'm
Yeah,
just kidding.
it
not that
sucks.
important. It's
Or
pretty
sometimes
important.
we have to go to the big city of San Antonio.
Oh man.
It's awful.
All right, so back to real estate with mineral rights. How many people are you seeing getting mineral rights when they're purchasing property?
In
I think that's a really
Bandera,
important.
Well,
Anywhere that you've worked or helped people.
Well, it depends. It depends on if there's an oil play or not. Like, so if you're in the Permian or the Eagle Ford, the likelihood of there even being minerals to convey is non-existent because they've already been severed out.
So let's talk about the income potential for when you do get mineral rights. What have you seen happen?
Yeah. Well, a typical lease is 25%. So, if a unit is making $100,000, you're getting a check for $25,000.
Frequency?
Let's put it in extremely simple terms.
Yeah. Frequency of that $25,000 check?
But down
Like
south,
every year, every 5 years?
usually every month. Every month.
Every month.
But
And that's if they do what to your land? It's a lease.
Well, first of all, this is assuming that you own 100% of the minerals, which isn't likely, because you have title attorneys like me that go back to the end of time, sovereignty, and which is usually when the state of Texas granted the abstract to the county, and from that point on, it goes through a chain of title. And anywhere within that chain of title, it could have been spit out. And it usually has been in an oil play. So most likely what we see are heirs of heirs who are collecting these checks. And it has nothing to do with the surface owner at all. And you really won't know that. And this is important for realtors to know. You will not know this from a title commitment. Some contracts will say that the minerals will convey, or that the minerals will be reserved, or that they're guaranteeing the minerals, that you own the minerals. That's not true. That doesn't happen. A title company will not insure minerals. So the only thing that you can do is go get a title attorney or landman and have them research it out and get a good idea of what you have. And so it's going to depend on what percentage you own of the minerals, and there's a few other factors. So like in the hill country, we don't have an oil play really. We have a few shallow wells that are kind of dead, a couple of pipelines. So because of that, the likelihood of minerals being severed is low, but it still exists, like because sellers always want to keep the minerals in Texas. Y'all probably don't encounter it a lot in Austin.
No.
Because nobody has the minerals in Austin. They've been severed away a long time ago, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Everything you sign is no mineral rights.
Yeah, no mineral rights.
Especially new builds, the developers, everybody. Yeah, they love that.
It's always kind of a silly form to me too when there's no minerals, but they always have it. People sign them anyways.
Yeah. Out of everything you just said, it's funny to me as I'm laughing is somebody watching this is probably going to go, she said, because we live in Austin, so this is why I say this. She said landman. It was 2022. Why can't it be a land woman? Oh, but wait, there's that.
Oh,
means
you're gonna love this.
That means
I did some work as a landman. So like when as a title attorney coming out of law school, I started out at a abstract company in Bernie. And the first thing they do is they put you in as a landman for 2 months and you go work the field. And we were called land sluts, which is totally not PC at all.
No.
Land sluts.
Were the men called land sluts
the best
too?
landmen I know are women, honestly. It is a male-dominated field, though.
Well, cool. We've gone over an hour. Summer, any other like major tips that you have to get off your head before we get out of here?
So if you are wanting to know if your land has minerals that are convey or not, 100% find you a lawyer to work that up, because the value of your land is going to depend on that or not, if you have minerals or not. That would be my number one advice, is to find you an oil and gas attorney or even a real estate attorney who can help you navigate that. But I mean, our markets don't see very much of that, to be honest, the hill country in Austin. But if you're out there in West Texas or even like Fort Worth area, they have their play up there. Hire an attorney.
So if you need an oil and gas attorney, call Summer. She can help you.
Call me.
Yeah, you can help all over Texas, right?
I totally can. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm licensed in Texas.
She's going to come out there.
I can't help you in Mexico.
Like, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Forgot the shades. Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, that's Real Migos for today. I appreciate it, everybody. We will catch you on the next one. Peace.